So welcome to On the Sensors doing a where to Destiny video. I have with me Trey, who is the runner of Kingwood Hobbies, and you may also know him from Diggity Destiny.
Yes.
And I have with me as well Jason. He's the TO, and they play at Dragon's Lair Comic and Fantasy in Houston.
That's correct.
I didn't butcher that this time, so I feel really good. By the way, a huge thank you to these guys because we recorded this a month ago, and unfortunately our audio fell apart. So these guys made some time to be with us today. So thank you to both of them, Trey and Jason. We really appreciate you coming back and doing this again.
Well, you're cleared, so we felt obligated.
Okay. Well, that was Majo's check, right? But yeah, we'll start off. So we kind of know a little bit about where and what. Tell us about your scene and what you have.
Jason, you want to start?
Sure, no problem. So right now, like you said, we play at Dragon's Lair on 249 in North Houston. We started off with a large group of people, I say, when the game started, and there were several communities in the area that had at different stores. You could play every night of the week when the game first launched. And as time went on, it kind of dwindled and stuff like that. But we've always managed to keep a really good core of people at Dragon's Lair. During the pandemic, I know we had to stop for a couple months because nobody could open. None of the stores could open. We tried online, but it's just not our scene. We really are at heart, in-person players. And so as soon as those stores came back open, about a week later, we started meeting up back again in May and kept going. I'd say we easily get at least 8, but we usually have 8 solid people every week. But then we probably have another 6 or so that rotate in and out from around town that come in when they can.
When you talk about we used to have a lot and now we don't have that many, like I don't think you're recognizing how small some groups are. We have about 14 or 15 people that cycle in. We have about 6 to 8 every week, and that would make some people thrilled. That'd be huge for some people. So yeah, we have a solid group of guys here in Houston that do it. And like you said, we have anywhere 6 to 12 people every week, and then we have there's probably 5 or 6 of us that are there every week, and then we have another 7 or 8 that cycle in and out. So
yeah. I just remember we used to be like, besides Magic and Pokemon, we were the largest play group that Dragon's Lair had every week.
It was big. It was a lot bigger than it was. But can't look back, man. You got to look forward.
Oh, yeah. We can get back to that.
All right. Perfect. So I know originally starting off, there's a little bit about the Houston scene. I think you guys relayed to me about a north and a south. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the Houston is massive. Houston is larger than some states, and I it's a hike to go play with us in Houston. I live in a different part of North Houston, and it takes me 45 minutes to an hour to drive every week to go play that one way. And so, but it's worth it to me because that's my thing. I do that. So Houston is so large that for back when we were super large, we was split into North and South Houston. So the guys would play in South Houston at a different spot, and there weren't as many of them as there were up north, but they had their own scene down south, and we had our own scene up north. That has kind of fallen away because there's not really there are a handful of people down there, or a couple of people down there that would like to play, but where we play is too far, and they can't get their act together to coordinate everybody and bring in new players, and so they just kind of put it down and haven't gone back to it.
Perfect. So with finding out a little bit about where you guys are and how the Houston scene is, tell us a little bit about playing cards specifically. So what formats do you guys run? We learned how many you guys have on average. What do you guys feel like differs from the local scene versus online?
I mean, I know mainly we play ARH standard. When things get slow, right now people are still being creative with their decks and everything like that, but when things do get slow, we do start spicing things up, start to implement like, hey, maybe you can only play red yellow this week or something like that, or anybody who played in this big online tournament, you can't use any of those characters. Come up with something new, you know. Let's play with some new and interesting stuff. We always like to see the new and interesting stuff that people come up with.
Yeah, so we have a Discord that we talk about during the week, and we converse with each other and meet up about. And so we'll come up with something. But I don't think we've done that, especially since Redemption came out.
Oh no,
it's just been a new deck every week for every person. People bring the amount of creativity that's gone into these decks is amazing. And so
yeah, we've done that like when we're like a new set releases digitally, and we're kind of waiting to get all our physical products in hand. Then we start kind of mixing up the old stuff a little bit for the 3 or 4 weeks between usually between each set. We've been doing that.
Gotcha. So those are a little bit about what you've done that differs from online, what you may have locally. Anything else we should know about going into play there?
Oh, honestly, one of the questions you asked a moment ago was about how it differs from the online meta, and
I did ask that.
We don't have any idea what the online meta is because we don't really play. Like, I'm the closest we have really to playing in these big events, and I barely play in them. And we have a couple of guys that like to play in them. One of those guys moved away, but they don't get to make it out very often, so we have no idea what's good. Every once in a while, Elrathian lives in Houston, up here by me, and so every once in a while he'll go out with us too, and they'll regale us all of these tales of these decks that are just ridiculous that people are playing online, and we're like, holy crap, I never even thought of that. So we have no idea. Everybody's bringing a fun deck every week, and we have a kind of a thing where, like, it's not really explicitly stated, but once somebody comes up with an idea, that's kind of their deck, like a pairing or a team that's put together. So, like, one of the guy that just moved away, Jordan, was one of our more fun deck builders, and he put up, this was before anybody had any idea about Ki-Adi-Mundi. So he had a Ki-Adi-Mundi, Chopper, and Hoth Trooper deck, and that became his thing. And I looked at it and I thought, that's amazing. I would love to play that deck, but I just, that was his. I had to go find something else to bring on my own to try and compete with them. So that's an interesting twist to what we have. There's no like figuring out what the best deck is and then everybody plays it. Like, everybody's constantly coming up with new decks all the time.
Okay, so we're going to be a little bit divisive here. I'm going to ask 2 questions based off that. One, is there a deck that you've heard Elrathian or maybe someone else talk about online that really stuck out with you? I'm just curious if anything popped out.
He was there this last Wednesday. He was there, and him talking to me about just how fast some of the burn decks are now. He mentioned 2 of them. One of them was Witches, and I don't remember what the other one was, but I remember Witches is competitive, and then whatever the other one was, he just talked about how quickly they can burn someone down, and I thought that was excessive. That seemed like too much. But like, if you don't get to play because you lose too quickly, it's just not that much fun. So I don't know. I bet, like, that's the one that stuck out because that was the last one he told us about.
Gotcha. We won't talk about those for sake of balance. This isn't a balance video. Just kidding. But what are some other decks that you guys may have in your local meta? So Ki-Adi-Mundi, Chopper, and Hoth Trooper. What else exists?
So I wrote an article. So in addition to being Diggity Destiny, I do that's under Coaxium. I have all this stuff, coaxiumgaming.com, and I like to write every once in a while, write articles about decks. And so one of the decks that I've been cultivating that I just posted an article on Friday about is a Inquisitor deck. And so I take 3 to 4 decks every time, but I always have the Inquisitor deck there. So it's 10th Brother, Second Sister, and the Inquisitorious Plot.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff going on with that one.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun, and people hate playing against it up there. Like, when I published the link to it in our Discord, the very first response was, "I can't believe you gave this people this list because I hate playing against this list. Like, I hate your deck so much." So that's one of them. Jason, have you brought anything recently?
You know me, I still keep trying to get Cad Bane with Grief working out somehow, just because I love Cad Bane so much. But I just don't think it's there.
Yeah.
His ability is like worthless, but his little ship's pretty cool with moving the weapons around.
So we had so one of our regulars just moved away. His wife got a new job. He moved away, and a very sad moment. But he wanted to do. We had a Jank Weekend or Jank Week a couple of weeks ago, and it was bring whatever you think is jank, bring that, and Like we're gonna whoever gets whoever has the craziest concoction, we're gonna Jordan was gonna give away. You might know him online as Oclampadius, and I guess that's how you say it. Anyway,
Close.
Yeah. So the deck that I brought to that one was Kanan, the new Kanan, who turns the dice when he has his when you activate him, and Jawa, the new Jawa that makes things cheaper, and Sinja Rathvelis. And so
everybody's favorite.
Yeah, everybody's favorite. No, it's a terrible card, but I was able to make it work. I didn't win every game, but I won a lot of them. It was fun to do and play these cards that nobody else saw. But it was specifically for we're going to play kind of bad next week, so I don't think that one would be any good. I've got an Ahsoka Lumpy deck that I play. I helped another guy put together Leia Kara. So just a bunch of different decks. One of our guys always likes K2SO, so if he can squeeze K2SO in with anything, he'll do it.
Is that Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other Jason, not you.
The other Jason, that's right.
K2SO did have some shining moments in Rogue One, so I could understand that. Did you know that was me before you shot him? Yes, sure. So there's a lot of great decks, a lot of different decks that you guys have, which is great. What about, not everybody can have every single card. Is it something that you guys feel like you have to deal with proxies? And I'll kind of plug this as well, that Trey sells cards and dice. But, well, that's another topic, but I'll let you guys answer that as you will.
Yes and no. So I'm the one who does half of it. You know what? That's not a bug. I'm going to let Jason speak on this here in a minute, but we in Houston, we have the luxury of being the home of two of the very small number of people that actually professionally print stickers and cards and have blank dice. One is my Kingwood Hobbies, and one is Julio with Aegis, and he plays in our group too. And so it's very easy for people in Houston to get quote unquote real copies of these cards. So almost everybody has these real copies of the cards. That being said, there's no stigma attached if you don't want to fork over the money for the real printed cards. There's no stigma to if somebody shows up with cards printed in sleeves and they're these crazy stickers or whatever they have. Like we'll make it work. And so there's no judgment. Nobody looks at you with your crappy cards and go, "Wow, these are terrible. You need to go buy some cards from Aegis or Kingwood Hobbies or something." So they get to look at our cards, but we don't really. It's fine playing with proxies. You have anything to add to that, Jason?
No, I honestly don't think it's really ever been an issue. We'll even sometimes if somebody's got a regular D6 out there standing in for something, somebody else brought that dice, we'll let them borrow it, and sometimes we lose stuff and say, "Hey, I got all your tokens or something from last week," or but we make it work out, and it's never really been a problem.
Perfect. With you guys playing in a card shop, other card games happen there. Do you guys happen to have anyone that stops by and like, "Hey, what are you playing?" Or maybe they just want to see what's going on or check it out. And what do you do there?
Oh, if somebody walks by and they even slow down and kind of stare a little bit, I always got to ask them, "Hey, you got any questions about the game? You want to learn how to play or whatnot?" I always have a couple of 2-player sets in my bag, and I can just whip those out. They're ready to go. They're all packaged up. Give one to the other guy. I'll take one, and we can sit down and play and bang out a game. I'll stop my game that I'm playing with my friend just to show somebody else new how to play.
And it happens pretty regularly. We have maybe once every other week we'll have somebody stop by, because the night that we play on Wednesday nights, that is a big open gaming night, and so X-Wing is there. A bunch of people playing X-Wing, a bunch of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, a bunch of people playing board games, a bunch of people playing Magic will show up, and then just randomly. So we have plenty of opportunity to expose the game, and it's Star Wars. For people that slow down long enough to see that it's Star Wars, that's a hook to bring people and get people to talk about it. But it also just looks different enough by having, we're playing Magic, but we have all these dice out there, and then so it just looks visually different than other things, and it catches people's attention. So we get a number of people stopping by.
Yep.
I'll throw in that we had a great conversation about the last time about you guys playing with them, and I know Jason, you stopped everything you're doing that night, which you just said a little bit, like you'll stop the game with your friend just to go play with them. So it was a really good conversation that we had before, and it was great to hear that. There was an example you guys had in the last video, I know, that we tried to do.
Yes. So our friend Mark brought a friend one night, and I sat there and I played with him all night, just with the Ray and Kylo deck. Think he ended up beating me once he caught on to that Kylo does the damage and he can look at your hand with some cards to like, oh, so I picked that color because you should be playing that. He got the hang of it real quick. Then we gave him a real deck and he started playing with everybody else. We had a physical card tournament, a launch party for the latest set, and he was in that tournament. He got into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And I'll also note, I remember the last conversation, Trey, you said that you had extra decks beside what you were just, the ones you were just bringing for yourself.
Yeah, so like as I said earlier, I bring 3 or 4 decks, and I always have that Inquisitor deck with me, but everybody always has multiple decks built. Yeah. And so anytime that somebody sits down to play, or a lot of it, I have one friend that I bring every once in a while, but who works out of the country, so he kind of never comes, and he doesn't own any cards. We've had some other people who haven't been in the game, and they go, hey, we want to show up and we want to play, but I don't know, I don't have anything. So we always have the standing response of, well, just show up, because we've got 10 or 12 extra decks just we can hand you and you can just go with. So it's not just me. I'm not the only one that has them. Everybody has extra decks and things.
Yeah, we got guys that they work downtown, but they live like out in the suburbs. And so it's closer for them to get from downtown to the shop instead of going home to get their cards because something freed up that night and they're actually available. Just say, come on up after work. Yeah. They're all in their dress clothes and everything, and we look like a bunch of slobs, but it all works out.
Even though Elrathian, who's such a big presence online, he has a collection of cards, but it's not put together. It's not done. He's gotten the new cards, but he doesn't show up with cards. He just shows up to be part of the group because we have such a great group of guys. We're all friends. We're all good buddies. And we all met through the game. So we know each other almost exclusively through this game. So anyway, Elrathian will just show up, and he lives right next to me, so it's like a 40-minute drive. But he shows up knowing there's 10 or 12 extra decks there, and we'll just give him whatever, and he sits down and plays and has a great time.
And he usually beats us too, or at least me.
Elrathian is really good at this game.
He is really good. We played Jumpstart Magic with him at Ihop one time after it, and he hadn't played Magic in forever, and he just wiped the board with us every time too. So he's just got that mind,
Good to hear. Shout out to Elrathian if you're listening.
Yeah. So hang on. Actually, I have a best story for you guys, because this is something that doesn't really happen. I mean, it kind of happens online, but the sitting across from and being in presence of people and playing with them is what is so much fun about doing what we do. Like, yes, the cards are fun and we enjoy it. We enjoy the decision making, but it's about being with your boys. It's about hanging out and making cool plays, and somebody dunks on somebody else and something great happens. So we had a play that just totally epitomized this last Wednesday, and it was incredible. So what was the deck that I have a deck. I found it online. I found the team online, and then I tweaked it and played with it a lot. And it is, Moff Gideon. I want to call him Giancarlo Esposito because that's his real name, but it's Moff Gideon and Bang. And so I have this crazy deck, and it kind of wins and it does okay. But
did you say Bang?
Bang. Bang.
Oh, Bang. Oh, okay. Dang it.
But it plays. It has all these supports in it, and so what was I playing? I borrowed a deck from one of our other guys, and it was Second Sister and what's his name? Dryden Voss. So Second Sister and Dryden Voss. Now, because we started using the reprint list, and I had seen him playing it, and it's just terrifying because I have Second Sister in my Inquisitor deck, so I know what she can do. And then watching her use her special to use Dryden Voss deck to hit for 5, like out of nowhere, is amazing. So I wanted to play that deck. So I'm like, all right, he let me borrow that deck, even though I had my own decks. And so I let Elrathian borrow the that Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito deck again. And we're sitting there playing, and like the very first thing in the very first round, I hit a special on Dryden Voss, and I resolved it, and I shuffled it up, and I present, and then you can't do this online. Like I present this deck to Elrathian to let him, you get to see what your own doom is, sir. And he flips it over, and I get a free Crime Lord. And Crime Lord slaps down on Dryden Voss, and it's amazing. And it's incredible. So we go on. The game lasts 2 or 3 more rounds because he's sitting there managing all of my resources because he's really good at the game. So he's keeping me off of being able to actually Crime Lord somebody. Well, finally, I got through. I think I just murdered one of his guys. I think I murdered Bing, and then I got through, and like right at the beginning of the round, I throw I activate Dryden Voss, and I get all the specials, and he like controls something and controls a die, and then I pulled something out where I like did some cool chain reaction of stuff, and I managed to get Crime Lord to go off. And I'm like, yes, I have won this game. I Crime Lorded with this thing. And everybody has kind of stopped. We're near the end of the night, and they're kind of watching us. And so I'm like, oh, here we go. Well, Crime Lord doesn't work until the end of the round. Yeah. And so I blew my whole wad in like the first 2 or 3 actions, and I'm like, doesn't matter, won the game. So I kind of shut off the play tight mode and won the game. Doesn't matter. Elrathian proceeded to play his cards, go through the turn, drop Blizzard 1, double focus Blizzard 1, and murder me before Crime Lord could kill him. And it was just the greatest thing that, it was so much fun to do that with all those people around. I mean, it would have been cool online and people talking about it, but having people and having an audience do that of, I've dusted my hands off because, I got this. I beat Elrathian by Crime Lording his guy, and him going, nope, watch this, and then spending this turn, finagling this and finagling that, and then finally after I'm like, you know what, I got nothing left, claimed. He goes doop, 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 and he moves all these pieces, and then he plays Blizzard 1, and then he activates, and then he double focus, and then I'm like, well, shit, now I'm dead. So anyway, it was amazing, and it's so much more impactful to do that in person.
Oh yeah, and you have those people behind you also going like, I mean, if they're really invested in it, they're like, oh, what's going on?
Yes, exactly.
Oh. Everybody's yelling. Oh my gosh, that would have been good.
Yeah.
I'm sad I wasn't there for that.
See? This is why people need to play in person.
I know, right? Just going in, like, what about other moments? You kind of got me riding the high a little bit. Do you have anything else that's popped up like that?
I'm sure there are, but I don't want to torpedo that one. I have to stop and think about it. But we have that type of stuff. Even if it's not quite that stuff happens all the time.
And you can always bring it up. Level, but it's something we can always talk about. But I mean, we get together and after we play and we'll hang out and not play Destiny. But it's really bonded us as friends. This big group of people that we have.
Yeah. So the shop closes at 10, and we for a long time we went across the parking lot to Taco Cabana, but the lockdown happened and they haven't opened back up. So now we go down the road to Ihop, and so we will stay at Ihop anywhere from 2 to 5 more hours, just sitting there and playing other games, playing Destiny, just BSing and having a good time with all these people that we met through the game.
Yeah, they even save a section for us in the restaurant now.
Oh yeah. We have people like you walk into you walk into IHOP and they seat you. Nope, we walk in at 10:10 and just walk to the corner of the restaurant that is set aside for us, and we all sit around and just like that's our thing. We have a waitress that we have every time.
Is that late? They're trying to get them all over in one part of the area, except we go to the other part of the area of the restaurant.
Yeah, and she knows us, and she like brings all our drinks before.
Yeah, she doesn't even.
We don't even order. She just shows up. She knows I get the unsweet tea with the blue sugar, and Fernando gets the unsweet tea with the pink sugar, and like she just knows this stuff, and it's just it's a great time.
So you guys are officially the South. Is sweet tea a must in Texas, or is that a?
No, unsweet tea.
Almost.
So you do unsweet.
Almost must. I mean, I don't eat very much sugar anymore because I'm way too big as it is. But I'm kind of ordering things that are not sweet tea doesn't go over too well. It happens, but not all that often.
Gotcha. I'll kind of move on a little bit from it. What do you guys look to do in the future with your playgroup?
Well, I mean, we always want to get new people into it. I know back in 2019, when the game was real strong, everything like that, I tried to do a city championship, and that didn't quite go as planned. Venue selection was poor. I did it at the big comic convention they have here, and I think that was just too big of a barrier to entry for people. But I would love it be able to get that big of a scene going again, or at least something that could facilitate a larger interest that would draw people even from outside of the area to come to, or something like that. But always, maintain what we got, keep people interested, keep it fun enough that everybody wants to keep participating. Don't make it stale. Never let it get stale. I want to start doing a tournament quarterly, just because some people like that more competitive edge. Trey will play a deck that he doesn't like to play against just because he knows it's good in a tournament, and still loses anyway. Second place, but he didn't win.
I missed a 7 out of 8 roll. So yeah, there's larger term. I don't want to call them goals, because this is just kind of what we're doing for fun, but I guess they're goals of wanting to grow and continue to bring people in to play this game. That's people see that it's not being produced by FFG anymore, and that becomes a big barrier. So you've got to get them over that and to understand that the game, there's 3 more sets have come out and they're really good. It's just a little bit of a different thing. I think a lot of what we do is just keep our heads down and continue to have fun and look for opportunities to expose other people to what we're doing and bring them into our friend group and grow the game. Like, that's just, yeah.
Excellent. And is there anything coming up that you guys would want to share about maybe future plans or anything like that? Any big events?
Nothing that I could talk about, no. Just because I'm not the one planning anything, so.
Yeah.
Does that mean there is something?
I don't think there's anything we can.
No, I don't think there's anything we can talk about.
Yeah, at the moment it's so. One of the things that we have is even though we have people from early or mid 20s all the way up to 50. I'm 45. I don't know, how old are you, Jason? You're about my age, right?
46.
Yeah. So we have all ranges, but a lot of the group is made up by people that have kids and jobs that take them all over the place. And so
we lost our 15-year-old last week.
Yeah. But it's made up by those people. And so it's difficult. 6 to 15 people is nice to bring in and play with, but it's hard to make something bigger than that because everybody's schedules are so crazy. Like right now, we're just ending up the summer, and people have been coming and going, and going on family vacations, or now like my kids are in high school and they're doing band, and I'm always going to go set aside Wednesday night to play Destiny. But as far as freeing up more time to do things on the weekends or doing different places, like my schedule, like almost everybody else we play with, is just super full, and so it's really hard to do anything above just having a good time on Wednesday nights.
Perfect. So a couple more things. Let's say I want to go there. Is there food on the way? Is there food there? Is there food nearby? What do you recommend for concessions? It sounds like there's IHOP.
So yeah, IHOP's down the road.
Can't wait till 10.
So there's a Domino's in the same strip mall where the Dragon's Lair is and stuff like that.
There's Subway right around the corner.
There's Subway next door. There's an Indian place. There is the Taco Cabana that you can get through the drive-thru or whatever. KFC, all that stuff. But McDonald's. But Dragon's Lair itself is relocating. Now, when I say relocating, it's moving. It's moving 3 stores down the way.
3 doors down in the same strip mall. It's a big strip mall, but
it's moving into a place that used to be one of those bouncy house places for kids to have birthday parties and stuff like that. So it's a lot bigger.
So
it's going to have
play Destiny with us bouncing around all the time, though.
But they're going to have a second story with a private game room in there, and the offices are going to be up there. And he's also going to have a tavern. So he's going to have
very cool
stuff on tap and actually have a menu inside the place.
Very cool. That is the first time hearing about this. I knew he was moving. I didn't know about all that stuff. But even if you come before then, like a lot of times I'll get there about 6, and I'll run down to Subway and grab a salad at Subway and bring it back. And they don't care if you bring food in as long as you're neat with it, and so I'll eat a salad, sit there, watch people play games until I'm done. But yeah, you can bring food in.
Yeah, and they sell water and soft drinks and monsters and these imported Japanese weird colored drinks that have glass balls that fall in it and stuff like that, and
Oh my God,
seaweed
what is this
and
called? The ones with the ball. I forget. They have a name for them, don't they?
they do, but
No
my
idea.
daughter bought one once, and I'm like, I don't understand how to use this thing. Why is this in here?
Oh, they are. I don't know. It's weird. Oh, I can agree. So just running it out. Let's say I want to attend. How do I contact you guys?
Okay. Trey, I mean, obviously you can just stop by the store, but online there are a few ways you can contact us. What would you recommend, Trey?
Nope, just go to the only way to talk to us is go by Dragon's Lair at 6
That's the
o'clock.
best way.
No, not even the best way. No, we have a Houston Facebook group that it's not very active, but we still all members of it. So if you want to talk to us, you can Houston Star Wars Destiny. You post there, and we'll find you, and we'll get you to the right place. We have our own Discord, which that's probably one of the best ways to catch us during the week is on Discord. You can reach out to me through any number of Trey at kingwoodhobbies.com or literally anything at kingwoodhobbies.com will get to me. So we have email, we have Discord, we have Facebook. What else do we got? Anything? I think that's it. A lot though.
We used to do everything through a Facebook chat, but now we don't do that anymore because that got too busy.
Yeah. So we don't use Messenger anymore. We use Discord. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Perfect. The last thing I have here. Do you guys want to say anything, Jason, Trey? Anything you think is relevant to say?
No, I really appreciate that you're doing this series on where to play. I think Destiny is best played in person. I think just about every game is best played in person. Just because you can build friendships that are going to last potentially forever. I really hope so. These guys are wonderful to hang out with, and we got each other's backs no matter what's going on in their lives. We'll help them out with anything, even non-gaming related, of course. Because it's being a friend is not just always being there during the good times, but being there just to help support each other.
So let's see, what was I? If you want to add people to your group, you got to be friendly. Like you've got to not just friendly to people that show interest in you, like you've got to show interest in other people. In our case, like I'm pretty good at it, but Jason is our super gregarious, go out of the way and talk to people. Like it's not easy to grow a gaming group because people don't want to get out of their comfort zone. People want to do what they're comfortable with. So to pull in a random stranger is uncomfortable for them, especially if there's 3 or 4 or 5 of you. They're the one that's by themselves. You guys are all friends. So you've got to bend over backwards to make these people feel comfortable and feel safe and have a good time. So if you growing your in-person group is what you want, you've got to be open to people and new ideas and do everything you can to involve new people and make them happy.
One time I was working with one new guy that just popped in one night, said he was having heart palpitations, and I drove him to the emergency room.
That was
a weird situation.
He might be too nice. Jason might be too nice.
It's disappeared. Yeah, I think that's a great point that you guys have because there are a lot of groups that just to kind of go into it, you essentially need a body. Like you need a brain to kind of think and to organize and to plan, and you need the eyes to see like what's going well and what could be better. You need that hand to sit out there and greet people and bring them in. You need the mouth to voice things when things are wrong. Everybody always knows the mouth. No, just kidding. But you need that foot to like walk through and get traffic and yeah, there's a lot of people that a lot of different things coming together, I think, make any group good. I think
you want to be positive. You don't need to be like a sunshine pumper, but you don't. Right. If you sit around and just bitch about stuff, people aren't going to want to be around you. Like that's just kind of a life lesson. If you sit around and bitch about stuff, people don't want to be around you.
Yeah, and I'm not going to name names. We've had those people in our group in the past when it was much bigger, and eventually it's like they had troubles finding people to play with even within our group. just because it became negative just to kind of interact with them sometimes. We didn't want to drive anybody away, but it just it didn't
If
go
you're
well for the
unpleasant,
group.
I don't want to be around you. Like, and if I'm unpleasant, I don't expect you to want to be around me. So just be pleasant and
Yeah.
positive.
Just like Jerry Springer said, be good to each other.
There you go. All right. Well, I thank you guys very much, Trey and Jason, coming on again. I thank these guys a bunch because like I said, we did this before, and our internet, we had some problems and it all fell apart. So I thank you guys so much for taking time again out of your busy lives, especially because this is a busy time of year, and just making everything happen.
Oh yeah, back to school and everything.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys very much, and here's a send off. See ya.